Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a government trained remote viewer. I was also trained, uh, but in India, in interspecies communication, which very obviously means communication with other species. And I'm not just a pet psychic. I also have all my other psychic skills trained and honed and witnessed and statistically analyzed, etc., all within the parameters of a very secret US government program that has still not been declassified. Now, why wouldn't they declassify it? Because they don't want you to have the information. So, today is the 10th of December, 2024. Trump won the elections, but the bad guys, too many of them are still running free. So, I'm going to say something, you're not going to like it, but I have to say that the American public is very delicate. And it is really the ugly, yuck, dark things that we should pay special attention to try not to fall into the same hole or black place again. So I have a handler because I'm a military mind control victim. That handler lives in Miami. That handler 5 years ago talked about putting another member in my family into sex trafficking, at which time I apparently, so I have very foggy memories of that time, decided it didn't really matter what it was going to cost me. I needed to get out from under the situation, even though nobody can get out from under their handlers unless the guy in Washington or the big guy says so. And in this case, it wasn't. I have been for 5 years battling with my handler. He has told people that I am after him. Um, Most people have a very hard time wrapping their head around this story. So, supposedly, he has been told to get off of my back, to leave me alone. I'm talking too much. He's calling too much attention. His co-workers, the rest of the Cuban political mafia in Miami, have told him to quit it. That what he's doing is creating issues because I have not stopped screaming and talking about it. So the latest was 2 days ago when he told me what he was going to do if I did not fall into line. So I'm going to tell you what he said, and you're going to go, oh my God. And my family members are going to say, my God, how can you say that? What he said was he was going to put a glass bottle inside someone's vagina and then stomp on it. Whoa, what an image. What a threat. Now, this is December the 10th, 2024. Trump is already president. This guy is running loose, and nobody seems to be able to get him under control. And I know that they don't want him this loose, but I also know that they're not going to take him down because he has some skills in psychotronic weapons that they need, the bad guys, and they're still totally operational. So I'm saying this, and this could take me down, but what the heck? Everybody needs to wake up. Everybody needs to be willing to listen to stuff that makes your heart stop and understand that for decades, in terms of me witnessing it, we've had a society in which people go and have parties and they have their holidays and they have their jobs and they have their bank accounts and they have their retirements, they have their kids, and they go to regular places. And right there amongst them is a network of evil people that are able to get away with murder because nice people are dumb as a rock, in my opinion. So you need to wake up, because if Trump is in power, he can't cover all of the bases. Even though this particular base he should cover, because being a specialist in psychotronic weapons in the United States at this point, at this guy's level, absolutely going to be used against Trump and his team or somebody that's important. So you know what, Trump? Take the guy down. Find out who's allowing him to still be operational and take them down too, because it is not to your advantage that this guy still be doing what it is that he's doing. Got it? Everybody got the message? And wake up. When your kids say something to you that's weird, that you go, no, that's not possible, listen to them, look at their faces, and ask yourself, why would they lie about that? Why would they lie about that? It's so easy to turn away from darkness. The problem is it multiplies in the dark like mold and mildew. It multiplies in the dark. You have to shine light on it. You have to be willing to look at the darkness. And from that place, you choose dark or light. You don't become light by ignoring the dark and walking away from it. What you're doing is you're facilitating darkness, which will end up taking you down eventually, maybe through a child, maybe through a mate. So now let's get on to the good stuff, the reason why I was born, which is to share this information that's from other dimensions. So I decided to let you in on an esoteric secret, but not the kind I just revealed. By the way, I'm not allowed to say the name of my handler because a handler has a daughter who's a lawyer, and she says he's going to sue me. And I laughed my head off because no handler is going to end up in court suing their robot because the robot is not performing. That stuff is not allowed to hit the legal system. But I suspect the daughter doesn't really know who he is. And I suspect that the people that were threatened by the fact that I would do this don't actually understand who this person is. Trump, you need to understand who this person is. For some reason, he's being allowed to run free. And it is very much a choice. Even his friends don't want him to be free. Back to esoteric secrets. You have two legs. So the way you sit, where your two legs are, how you handle your legs subconsciously. So right now, without thinking, just look down at your legs. How are your legs positioned? And if you already shifted your legs, then maybe get a photograph of you or look at several photographs of you and see what you actually do with your legs when you're not paying attention to what you're doing with your legs. Your right leg and foot channel male energy of power, and it is the color blue. Your left leg channels female energy of wisdom, and it channels a nectar that's the color red. Those two channel energies meet in between your legs in what's called the root chakra, and then they come together, and then they separate again, and then they come together again. That whole process. Okay, so how does this information help you? I could not, for the life of me, put my left leg on the floor with the foot flat on the floor. I would do it, and 2 seconds later, my leg would lift up, and I would put it on my knee. I couldn't keep that foot down. It's a female leg. I'm a victim of sexual abuse. We don't need to go into this. I would want to deny my femaleness. I would want to protect myself by having less female. Yet, that is the leg that channels the female energy of wisdom. Okay. So I decided to look at our people in Washington. Trump, both of his feet are flat on the ground, and his knees a little bit separate from each other, very anchored in both male and female energies. Wisdom, and power. This is really good. My next favorite person, Elon Musk. Only his power leg is anchored. His left leg that channels the female energy of wisdom is always lifted up. He's not channeling both energies equally. He's denying his female. I suspect that comes from maybe having all that bullying when he was young and feeling like he needed to look really tough when he's actually very wise. But he doesn't know that he's doing this. And that's the point with all of you. You don't know what you're doing with your feet and with your legs, but what you're doing with them is very revealing of who you are, what your weaknesses are, and what your power is. Zuckerberg has both of his feet firmly anchored on the ground. He's channeling both male and female. And Pelosi, she's got her right leg, power leg, anchored. Okay, so now what do you do with that information? It's interesting. Republican color is red, and that's the color of female leg of wisdom, the nectar of wisdom, female. You would have thought the opposite. And then the right leg is blue, which is the Democratic, and it's the leg of power. Almost like the opposite of what we would traditionally think about Democrats and Republicans. But interesting. So, how do you use this information? First place, in my case, I always had my power leg anchored. Makes sense, raised by the military, all the stuff that I went through, that I would want to claim my power and be absolutely, totally about power. My left leg wouldn't cooperate. Now, my left foot is always down together with my right foot. But it took me probably not months, probably longer than that, for me to feel comfortable having my left foot on the ground. Okay, so let's say that you're a female and you're really, really, really good at what you do, but you're not really well positioned. You don't really have power. Chances are that your right leg is not and foot is not anchored to the ground. So then your job would be to make sure that your right foot is flat on the ground, and it will not be easy, but your power will absolutely augment. If you have somebody in your family, like a child who's a bit of a bully, who's very angry and pushes and whatever, try to start to train them to have that left leg, female energy of wisdom, to have that also anchored on the ground. It will make a very, very big difference. The channeling, everything is a channeling of energy. Those are the strings from string theory. They are energy channels, but they're channeling the mind. And then all of the channels have different qualities, such as the left leg, the quality of female energy of wisdom, etc. Knowing these things puts in your hand a lot of power to change things. In my case, I needed to get over the needing to put my male energy first and give the same amount of importance to my female energy. Not so much in terms of female body, but in terms of female wisdom, which I had always denied. But I'm going to say a story here because that will make it more interesting. I was in Tibet. I don't really know how long. I say a year. I have no way of knowing how long I was there. I was sent there when I was 10. I was sent there by the CIA, who were the ones that took the Dalai Lama out of Tibet when the Chinese got irritated about what was going on in the monasteries and started to burn down the monasteries. They didn't invade Tibet. They owned Tibet at that point. What they did was they went into the monasteries. So anyway, but right before that, I was sent there at age 10 to work with a shaman. And I lived with him. Again, I say a year, it could have been 6 months. I have no way of knowing how long it was. But during that visit, I was introduced to some monks. I did not know the language. It was telepathy. There wasn't a lot of language anyway, even with telepathy. But one of the things that the monks did that I did not understand for decades was that my left leg, the spirit left leg, the astral left leg, the non-physical part of me left leg, which is channels female energy of wisdom, they took it and they tied it up to where from my knee down, there was no astral leg, which is where that nectar of female wisdom would be channeled, not in the physical body. They lifted it up and they tied it. And they said, and I didn't understand it for decades, I understand it today. They said, this, you cannot channel this level of wisdom. It will cost you your life. When you are older, when you are old, which is now, when you are old, you will be able to channel this level of wisdom. Interesting. Okay. What does that mean? I had no idea. But when I was in Tibet, and like I say, it's easy to do that when you're in Tibet. They tell you can do it, you can do it, and you just do it, and that's it. So when I was in Tibet, the shaman that I lived with was an old man, and he was the medicine man, he was the doctor, he was whatever. Everybody lived in their own stone huts. I don't even know how far away from each other. I don't have that particular memory. But if somebody got sick, somebody would run to him for him to come and help. And there was a woman giving birth. And so he was called to go, and I was his student. I went with him. And when we got there, the woman was in child labor, but the baby was stuck. And her breathing had changed, and there were going to be two dead people, the woman plus the baby. And the shaman did not know what to do, or was just standing there. And all of a sudden I had this feeling, and I just went like this. I just asked everybody to leave the room. And they left the room, and I stood at the foot of the bed, and I just looked straight down at the woman, and all of a sudden there was a line. I could see this line, and then it opened up like the Red Sea parting with Jesus Christ. And I wasn't thinking that. I just saw the line, it opened up. And I realized I was going to be able to deliver that baby. So I put my hands into the woman's stomach just like that. And I picked up the baby, took it out, looked around, found some rags, who knows in what corner of the room, wrapped the baby, and just went back, and this line closed up again. And the baby was delivered. The mother was breathing correctly. I was in a state of shock. I just did something instinctive. And I think what it was is it's a cut in reality where it opens up, and then from that place you can do anything. And what I did was what I wanted to do, which was to save the baby and save the woman. I would have been 10. But this is the interesting part. You can believe that, don't believe it. You know what? At this point in my life, I'm okay if you don't believe me. Just keep listening. Just keep listening. It helps widen the lens. And then later on you go, oh my God, yeah, she did say that. Okay. So we leave. The family's so happy. They gave me some carnelian stones, and they were so happy. Oh my God. And we left. And as we're getting back to the hut, and I'm in a state of shock, this old man is looking at me because I'm not going towards the stone hut that we lived in. House, it's not a hut, I guess, if it's stone. And I went, and I sat at the edge of the mountain, and I was in a state of shock. I mean, I had done something just incredible, and I didn't understand it. So an angel showed up. Now, I'm not an angelic type person. Those are not the type of spirits that I draw to me. Okay. And this angel shows up, and she said, see, Francis, I'm not saying she said, the angel said, see, Francis, how people are. Oh, I forgot the most important part. When the shaman came back into the room after I had saved the baby and the mother, he looked at me, and for an instant, I could see how angry he was that I had done this, that I had created a miracle, and it wasn't him. But it was only an instant, but I saw it. Anyway, so we left, go to the angel comes and said, see, Francis, how humans are? You cannot do this, because humans can't accept it. It will cost you your life. So when you are old, again, the whole when you are old, you're going to be able to do this. And that's the whole point. For some people, having to do with power, sometimes it's not so good to have power, because then people come after you. They don't like it. Right now, I'm talking about a psychic power. You may not even believe it, but miracles happen all the time. So why not? And like I say, you're in Tibet. The guy says you can do it, and that's it. You do it. But the whole point of having powers, and let's get back to the program that I'm still attached to, unfortunately, they don't want you guys to have all that information. Why would they? You don't even believe this stuff can happen. Do you imagine how much power that gives them? A lot. And you're going here, well, we don't know whether to believe it. I don't know. She's just looking. Where are your instincts? Where's your instinctive knowing? If you can look at me and go, she's making that up, your instincts are lousy and your psychic abilities are lousy, or you are very opinionated and you don't allow your psychic abilities to flow through you. And that's why you're supposed to just look at things and not judge, because your psychic abilities at that point can come in and you can get some extra information that is only coming to you to help you. Now, God, I think I want to live dangerously. You know how they have these accidents, plane crashes, and they say, we don't know what happened. We'll get back to you in 2 years with a full report. I'm going to use the word bullshit. Just get a couple of, get 3 trained remote viewers, not 1. You have to get 3. They can't talk to each other. They can't discuss this. They can't know anything. They will tell you in 15 minutes or less what happened. Why the 2 years? To jerk you guys around? To control the information, to control the narrative, and to control the outcome. So anytime something huge happens and we got to wait for the report, we're getting jerked around. And I would like for you all to wake up and stop allowing that to happen. Don't use remote viewers. Pay consultants. And I can tell you that they're not going to give you a report in 2 years. If you say, we're going to pay you this fee, we need the report within 3 days. They're going to get you a report in 3 days. When they're telling you to wait 2 years, you're getting jerked around. Why have we let ourselves be jerked around so much in this country? Things that don't make sense. What have we been doing? You wouldn't allow that in business, which is why it's really good that this president is a business person, because you're not going to be able to come up with a storyline to somebody whose background is business. You can't come with a storyline because that person is going to go, who do you expect to believe that? Come on. It's not a philosophy when you're, and again here, and I'm recognizing that I really am a lot more business oriented than I thought. I knew that I was, but I am, as I do these podcasts, I see how much I emphasize business, but it's because I enjoy it. It's not because I'm making a pitch for another contract. I enjoy it. I enjoy taking this esoteric stuff and making it operational in business. So when we have a president who runs businesses, please don't tell him a storyline. You're going to get laughed out of the room. First place, you would be embarrassed to say that storyline in the middle of a business meeting. Why are we allowing people to get away with it in terms of politics? Doesn't make any sense. Now, you get on X. I love X. You got somebody that's in custody now, and he's supposedly, and I have no idea, and I really don't have an opinion on the subject, but I loved it because they have these photographs, and what you see a lot is the guy's eyebrows, and somebody went ahead and took that photograph and cut it, the ones of the guy in the hoodie, which is the one who killed the CEO, and then they took his eyebrows, now in custody, and they put it one on top of the other. And the truth of the matter is, they don't look the same. And that's the truth. They don't look the same. So now a female could say, well, he went to Uniwax and he waxed in between, but in between those 2 shots, I don't think so. Because one was 2 days ago and then the other one was like yesterday or today. So it's good. So we're going to be doing a lot less things that don't make sense because they're in politics, just because of, and I'm going to say it, because of free speech on X. Would somebody dare to do that on Facebook if X didn't exist? No. No, because you're costing your channel. You could end up with no channel. So we are in good times. So I'm going to leave you with this part of this podcast chat with, where are your legs right now? which leg is firmly, which foot is firmly anchored to the ground? Is one of your feet up in the air, crossed over your knee, or crossed over your ankle? And so, just to repeat again, your right leg channels the color blue, and it is the energy, it's a nectar with the energy of male energy of power. And your left leg channels an energy that is red, and it is the quality of female energy of wisdom. And you're supposed to have both feet firmly on the ground, and you'll have power and you'll have wisdom. Trump has both feet firmly on the ground. And I looked at a lot of photographs, firmly on the ground. The guy he met from France has his power leg up on his knee. Zuckerberg, both feet firmly on the ground. That one surprised me, even though I don't quite know what I would have thought with him. Elon has his female leg lifted up. But I think Elon is a dolphin, consciousness, which is sensuous and sweet. So if you get into a whole business world and making trucks and cars and spaceships, you probably would want to emphasize your male energy of power. But it wouldn't be something that he would be thinking about, or that you're thinking about with your 2 feet and your 2 legs. But you can think about it now. And I'm not suggesting that Elon put his left leg on the floor at all. I'm just making an observation. Pelosi needs to put her left leg on the floor so she can get a little bit more wisdom, because I think her past with just emphasizing her personal power, my personal opinion, is going to get her, has gotten into her into deep trouble now. Her wisdom, if she had had the other foot on the ground, her wisdom would have said, enough is enough. Tone it down. Yes, I'm powerful, but I need to tone it down because people are going to turn against me, which is what's happening today. And with your kids, look at their feet, because it will tell you a lot about some natural inclinations that they have. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into the healing and transfer. You know what? I haven't sketched the United States for a while. And it would be nice if I could find oh, nope. Yes, look, I got it. Let's go ahead and sketch the energies of the United States. Okay, and let's see what we have going on in the other dimensions. Okay, this is weird. It's nothing bad, it's just weird. Florida's looking good. And the enemies are scratching their heads like, how do we stop this? Whatever's looking good in Florida, they want to stop it. They don't know how to stop it. They can't do the weather modification thing because they know that they're going to get caught. They're not going to do that. But give me a second. Okay, I don't understand. This is Florida looking great. This is the tip of Texas, and it says Atlantis. There are pyramids in here that are associated with Atlantis, and they're supposed to rise again. What does that mean? I have no idea. This is where there had been an invasion of ETs, and now it says gone. I don't know what that means. The ETs are gone from there. This is almost like it wants this inside, it wants the United States to spiral. Oh, I see. It would be if we create this movement, it is spiraling in the opposite direction of a clock, which would be rooting grounding. And so that is not a bad thing. This is a central part of the United States. To root and to ground it is a wonderful thing. That's the direction, the root energy center, which is in between your legs in terms of you as a person. It has to spin in that direction. Now, that spinning in that direction is the direction that you would need to spin in that part of you, that part of the United States, if you want to be protected from evil according to the Lord's Prayer. What am I talking about? The Lord's Prayer that we're familiar with is not the Lord's Prayer that was given to us. It is a translated, perverted, prostituted version of the Lord's Prayer. When I first read the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, I didn't read it in Aramaic, but I read the translation from Aramaic to English instead of Aramaic to Greek to English. I cried because it talks about the energy bodies and the strings from string theory. It talks about things being tied up and needing to be untied. But it doesn't say deliver us from evil. And you're going to hear this from me 1,000 times. It says, help us to be in the present, which means not disassociated, which means grounded and rooted, which means the bottom spiraling in the direction that's opposite of the clock, counterclockwise. And that is starting to do it. It's squiggly here. It's almost like it's moving to reach that configuration, which is it's already reaching. So this is really, really, really good news to be able to anchor this country, to root it, to ground it is really good. So we're going to do only 5 minutes or maybe 7 minutes because I have our new mantra music and it's called Rooting. And of course, I'm struggling to get it up on YouTube because there's all sorts of issues that are coming up in the 10-hour long one. But that's something I need to put up with the map of the United States. And that will help facilitate this process that is happening now, which is rooting, grounding, not illusions, things based on the truth, which is what I said in the beginning. If this country is going to be run by somebody who's into business, bad word, this bullshit that we've been handed and so many things, that doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense. Like some of the stuff our religions tell us, if our kid came home from school and told us those stories that we're expected to believe, we'd look at him and say, what's the matter with you? Why are you lying? The whole thing with Adam and Eve, and I'm not going to get off on a long tangent on that because I don't really know enough about it. But we got cast out of the Garden of Eden because we wanted information, because an apple is information. We wanted information. What's the matter with that? Knowledge, information is light. What's the matter with that? Well, we were told it was really much. Oh, we got thrown out. So we're going to asking a lot more questions. So we're going to do the mantra, even though I'm afraid to be a master. And I'm going to put the rooting music on. Even. No. We're just going to do the even though I'm afraid. Because I want to use this new music and the afraid to be a master doesn't see. We're going to go ahead and do that. Afraid to be a master. And we're going to use the new music, even though it's not really the most appropriate. Okay. And this is the rooting music. At least I think I have it up here. I'm sure I do. Here it is. Yes. Okay. Okay. I want to remind you that we are in Apple and Spotify podcasts, so you can hear us in your car. And these chats also go up on YouTube. So that's it. And thank you for joining me. And we will see you again. We'll see you again. I'm Francis Fox. Bye.